So, welcome. My name is Jessica Konstantinidis. I am one of the evangelists within Dave Wright's team. So, yesterday you saw my line management on stage. Funny. I'm here with Byron. Maybe we should sit down, Byron.
Yeah, let's sit down.
Take a quick time to just quickly introduce yourself, because obviously a lot of people came for the name Tesla.
Okay, so my name is Byron Solopoulos, and I am the CEO and founder of Engineerix. We're an industrial engineering company. And in my spare time, I have started a small organization called Tesla Owners Club Belgium, which now has over 8,000 members. And in that capacity, I have a meeting with Elon Musk every year to discuss how we are moving forward as drivers with the Teslas.
Elon Musk, wow. How is that?
He's a very funny guy. I mean, people take him way too serious on Twitter, but he's a very funny guy. And quite, actually, most intelligent guy I ever met.
Cool, cool. So you, obviously, as a Tesla owner club president, you own a Tesla, right?
Of course, yes.
Of course, of course, of course. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk about the Tesla is the AI, the machine learning behind the Tesla, but also the moral and the ethical piece of Tesla, right? So that was basically what we were going to talk about. So you own Engineerix.
Yes.
And when we talked about it earlier on, you said, you know, when we're talking about Tesla, when we're talking about programming, one of the main elements that we need to look at is, you know, the moral side of things. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, as most of you know, Elon Musk is, we have something called Elon Central Time. It is when Elon promises something and then we add a few months. And so I have a Tesla Model 3 now with full self-driving capabilities. But the full self-driving is now kind of an advanced autopilot. But it means that the car will actually drive itself. So it will keep distance, it will make turns, it will get off the highway, on the highway. But at a certain point in time, the Tesla or the computer in the Tesla is going to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to drive straight on, or am I going to brake for a kid that crosses the street? What happens if it's a person crossing the street during a red light? What do you do as a car? Do you brake? Do you just hit the person and kill the person? And so there is some. Well, let's hope for not. So there is actually MIT created the moral engineering function, and so there are different scenarios where we actually, as humans, are going to tell the computer what we think is the moral right decision to do. So, for example, you're driving, or the car is driving you. Somebody suddenly gets in front of the car. What do you want the car to do? Yeah, you want the car to stop, or maybe go left to avoid. You're still driving the car. Somebody's crossing the street, but on your left side there is another car with a family with 3 little kids inside the car. So now you have to make the choice. Do you hit the kid that suddenly crosses the street? Or do you hit the car next to you and potentially kill 5 people? And there is where we have to use our morals, and we have to decide, okay, what makes sense? Do you want me to increase the freakiness factor?
Let's just hold on with the freakiness factor for a second. So you're saying that essentially it's the human being that does moral engineering, moral programming, and we'll basically say, you know, this is the best scenario, maybe depending on the insurance that you have, or depending on whatever you chose as a moral code as a person. So it's not the AI and the machine learning that will do that.
Well, the AI and machine learning will have to decide what the human will do. For example, every Tesla today on the market actually has the computer inside for doing autopilot. Even if it's not activated, it's always doing calculations on what would I do as an AI chip, and what does the driver do? So the difference with Volkswagen, for example, they have 7 full self-driving cars, and they do tests with 7 of those cars. What does Elon Musk do? He actually has the whole fleet doing full self-driving. Even if they're not doing full self-driving, he's still making the machine learning, the calculations. What would I do? What is the driver doing? If it's the same, green, it's great. If it's something different, then the machine wants to learn, okay, why has the driver chosen to brake here at that point in time? Now, as we said, if we take it one step further, that means that we, and I hope this will never happen, by the way, that we actually could go to a world where you have a very good insurance with AXA, for example, and you pay a high premium, and somebody else has the basic insurance, well, AI maybe might do visual recognition and say, hey, this guy's got the good insurance. Let's not hit that person, but let's hit the other one. So
Oh my God.
Yeah, but let's hope that doesn't ever happen, right? Or we could go one step further, and because of facial recognition, the AI could check the health database of that person, calculate the life expectancy of the person, and say, okay, let's kill the person that has the least life expectancy. But again, I don't hope these things happen, but theoretically it could.
So in theory, if I would have cancer, I would have a life expectancy of like 2 months. The Tesla will hit me.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But it's better. I mean, yeah, that's for a computer that would make sense.
Yes, and fortunately for human beings, it does not. So, sorry? Yeah, the safe harbor. Yeah. Well, the thing is, so if we really go that far, and you're obviously with your company Engineerix, you're programming into these things. How do you do this? Because obviously this is an ethical workflow, a moral workflow that we from ServiceNow have never even touched. We're not looking at that yet. We're trying to AI, we're trying to machine learning, we're trying to do the basics, right? This is the freakiness level plus 1000x, right? So how do you do this? How do you start doing something like this?
Well, first you need a lot of data. And so the MIT has this moral generator. You can actually look for it if you look for MIT moral generator. You have all these questions where you have all these different scenarios, and then as a human you decide whatever makes most sense. It goes even up to a criminal is crossing the street. Does this person have more rights than a certain person who doesn't have any criminal activities? These are things that people will start defining, and we actually get a lot of data out of that. The question, of course, is what's the right decision? Because I can imagine that in China, a political person might have a higher value than just a civilian, which for us in the Western usually is not the case.
Depends in which country you are, though, by the way.
Depends in what country, yeah. So it's still a bit freakiness factor, but I think the cool thing is that there is a new job category, which is moral engineering. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be a huge business in the future.
Yeah. So with this moral engineering, obviously a lot of these things, and we saw this with Tesla. There was a Tesla going rogue in Paris, and I think they injured or killed the cyclists. So a lot of the things come back to insurance, to regulations, to government, right? How ready are they for this?
Some bodies are really slow. For example, United Nations is the body that decides that in the law it says that you always have to have 2 hands on your steering wheel. Mm-hmm. But they only come together once a year, and so we need to change that law for full self-driving, that you don't need to hold the steering wheel with 2 hands. Mm-hmm. But again, this is going very slow. We think that as soon as autopilot becomes a factor of 10 safer than people driving themselves, that's where we will get regulation, and this will become the standard. Because it's actually crazy that all of you actually drive yourself in traffic, while at the same time on your smartphones tweeting and WhatsApping and not paying always full attention.
I don't do that.
Well, most accidents happen today because of human error. Actually, the number today is 92% of all accidents happen because of human error. Sure. If you can already reduce 92% of accidents and save a lot of lives with that by having the cars drive themselves, that makes sense to me.
It gives you a different perspective, because obviously the ethical side of things is then we will choose the person that's most likely to die to then be in the accident. And obviously we're saving a lot of people because the human error is taking out of that. But it's going to be a weird world. I like driving personally, so...
Me too.
I'm just thinking, when we go into this, and obviously Tesla is a prime on this, and we saw all the controversy happening, and we saw everything happening, and I think, the biggest issue in workflowing is getting a Tesla to drive, essentially. So Elon Musk did that really well, and he's breaking barriers. And Tesla is the one that starts this, but I'm sure that this is not where it ends. I will see this happening, like, for instance, moral engineering into factories, into, other things. Where would you see this potentially going?
Well, so in last conversation I had with Elon, he says, listen, if we can have the cars do full self-driving, essentially it's a computer with four wheels. Then we can go to the next step and actually have kind of a robot doing a lot of autonomous things. Instead of driving, it's just walking around. And it will start doing things not at command, but whatever makes sense. So you will have a robot that if you spill something will come to the table, clean up whatever you made dirty, and then go away again. Now, of course, freakiness factor here, do I want to wake up in the morning and suddenly see a robot hanging in front of me with a coffee ready? In the beginning, it will be a bit strange. But some people will give it a cute name, we'll call him Robbie, and we'll have lots of fun with him. So I think we all get used to everything.
Let's keep diversity here. Or her.
Or her, exactly.
Or it.
Well, I think I hope it's going to stay in it for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So the world is changing because of Elon, and I think when we get to that point of, we're probably less freaky about things. We're life, AI, robots, smart houses. I'm going to get really scared when I talk about smart houses. So everything that we do is basically getting into that era of understanding what it is, putting the human factor in there and doing everything. So those moral engineers, are they there yet? Do we have them?
Well, I think there are only a handful of people who are scratching the surface, but I really think we need a lot of them.
Okay.
Because everything will become these kind of decisions. Look at your lawnmower robot today. If there is a small animal crossing the lawn, you want them to actually see it and not kill it. But maybe if it's a mouse, you don't mind to...
I don't discriminate. I keep Jerry.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's going to be important for all kind of programming, not just in autopilot, but I mean we can give so much autonomy to our systems today that somewhere morality becomes an important factor.
So career advice, moral engineering, anybody?
It's very well paid, by the way.
That's what he said. Yeah. So coming back to workflows and what we do. A lot of companies are here, a lot of our customers are here. Would you see them adopting this quite quickly, or would you see like these boutique engineer companies coming up and probably like being in an Accenture or Deloitte consulting on top of that? Or would that be a core thing that a company like, I don't know, Bayer or BASF or BMW or even Volvo or Tesla will do?
What I see in the space today, it are mainly the startups, the really small companies who are really getting specialized in all this technology. And then they just will become, they get bought. And who knows, maybe ServiceNow will buy one by one and actually implement it.
Bill? Anyone? Bill? No?
So yeah, I think startups are going to lead this innovation, for sure.
Great. So if you would have the capability to change the world, what would your ideal world look like?
I would love a full self-driving, full electric world where I can just wake up in the morning, get out of the house, step in a car that just arrives at the moment that I need it because my schedule is in my agenda, so in my phone, so everybody or the system knows where I have to go. It drives me here in front of the World Forum. I get out. I don't have to look for parking anymore.
Yeah, you did that this morning.
I did that this morning. And that same car is actually going to pick up other people. So you know that 98% of the time your car is just idle. So it's the worst investment you can make. But then we'll have cars that are going to be driving all the time. This gives another opportunity. So if you are a garage, you'll be out of business because electric cars almost need no maintenance. But car washing companies need to keep these cars clean inside and outside because they're autonomous. That's really going to be the future. Public transport, I still don't understand why public transport still has drivers. I was in Copenhagen. Their metro system is fully autonomous and it never strikes. It's always on time. I would love to see that everywhere. So yeah, I mean, driver as such is not really a job that really gives a lot of inspiration, I think. And these people can do maybe other things. So yeah, less strike, more transport on time. Cool.
Tell this to Max van der Stappen if driving doesn't give you anything, huh? So
well, it's interesting you say that because you said I still enjoy driving.
Yeah.
I think you can, in the near future, we will go to a place like a karting center, and you will be able to drive old gasoline cars with a special mask on because it's really poisonous. And for fun, you can go vroom vroom and drive in a car like that. But it's going to be entertainment, and it's not going to be the day-to-day.
So if I get you right, your car will be co-shared. It will not be yours because it's the worst investment. You will not drive anymore. You will go to a kart center that will actually give you a Ferrari and a mask to drive around and have fun. Geez, what a weird world. Now, if you take the freakiness level a little bit higher up.
Higher? Okay.
Really high. What would the ultimate be? Because I'm one of my personal bucket list is personal license for flying. So I'm just thinking, leave the car, I'll take a helicopter or whatever, or the driving car or whatever. Even a drone car. What's
I think it's going to be a drone kind of helicopter that's going to pick you up on the roof of this location. It's going to bring you to the south of France. You're going to have there without anybody actually piloting it. It's going to be piloted by itself, and you're going to have your drinks there. But it actually also gives a nice opportunity. Who here actually has kids? Who's got kids? Many people with kids. So your weekend usually looks like driving the kids from the tennis to the horse riding and to the scouts and all these kind of things. That's going to be over. You're going to be in your bed with your spouse, enjoying life, and the car or the whatever is going to get your kids to whatever location they need to be in a very safe way, and it's going to pick them up so you can sleep longer, enjoy more life, do things you really enjoy. How does that sound?
There goes the midlife crisis. So thank you, Byron. I think when we go into this, we might want to take one or two questions if somebody wants to ask a question. We have about 4 minutes. Anybody? No? Then I'm going to ask you one more.
Okay.
When you built Engineerix, and you're obviously doing all of that, how much of the engineers are at the moment moral engineers or ethical hackers that you currently have?
So I cannot say a lot about that, actually.
I knew I was going to get him.
Yeah.
But you're investing in it. Let's just say that much.
Yeah, I mean, we really see a huge potential in that. So they don't exist. So we have to create them. So we are getting engineers that have hobbies which are really cool. For example, we've got an engineer. It's a mechanical engineer, but his younger sister is missing a part of an arm, and those how you call it?
Robotic arms.
Yeah, well, yeah, it
Prosthesis.
costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So actually, he 3D printed one,
Oh.
put a kind of a Kinect camera on her chest. And the most difficult part is the last mile or the last few centimeters to actually grab something. And so the camera sees the object and then does the last centimeters, grabs it, and then she can actually drink. And he built that for $300 or something. And that would have cost him $5,000 if. So these are the kind of guys that work on this kind of technology. They say, okay, these are people that we want to train in doing this.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for being here.
You're very welcome.
He's going to walk around, find him. He has coffee with Elon Musk, so he knows all the nitty-gritty. He's not going to maybe potentially say everything. But thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.